Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey Yuri.
Hey Michal, long time no see. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Andrea, how are you
Hello,
doing?
Eva.
Doing good too, thanks.
Cool. Thanks a lot for the PRs. All the PRs. Amazing. Really appreciate it. Yeah, Michal, it's been a while. How's it going for you?
Well, yeah, quite a lot of platform engineering work usually.
Uh,
Yeah,
more
currently
production stuff, production related stuff. Running
no,
infra?
like
No?
investigation new one or fixing stuff, etc. Currently when we destroying cluster, the carpenter don't want to be removed. And I have to investigate why. So it's quite tricky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah, so just a little bit of context. So Andre, new community member. He recently joined and contributing to Kubernetes Global Balancer. So
Cool.
super amazing
Welcome,
news.
welcome to the board, Andre.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
I
so,
try,
so, so
or little by little, to make some improvements.
yeah, nice.
Mm.
Sorry, Yuri, for interrupting. Andre, where are you from?
I'm from Portugal.
Portugal. Oh, nice.
My favorite place. I have a large Portuguese customers. Millennium BCP. I can talk about them freely. Maybe we already discussed like they are my favorite guys. So
Yeah, I saw there were a few maintainers, the names looked Portuguese, and I also saw
yeah,
the list of adopters. Yeah, and then
yeah,
I know them, or yeah, the bank is quite well known.
yeah, we are working closely together. So they k8gb adopters. That's this specific context, right? But they also cross-plane adopters, and I'm working for a bound full time, and I'm helping with the cross-plane stories there as well. So yeah,
Okay.
they're super cool guys. Yeah, and for context on relationships, long-term relationships of Michal and myself, we used to work for APSA, where we basically created a Kubernetes global balancer in the first place, and k8gb is used there in production for, I don't know, for almost from the very beginning of the project. So yeah, that's the story. So if any like production related questions, Michal can answer them because they're running it continuously.
Do you still work
Yeah.
at ABSA, Michal?
Yeah, me and Dinar as well.
Very good.
Yeah, so we used to work together there, and I left to a bound for like 2 years ago. So yeah, that's
Okay.
the chronology.
Okay, and
So
then
yeah,
ABSA, from what I read, is South Africa. Or sorry.
yeah. It's
So
a
you
South
are
Africa.
so you are there? You are based in South Africa?
No. We are in Prague. It's all connected. Like it's not obvious. So APSA
Yeah.
has a strong development center in Prague, Czech Republic. So it's
Okay.
all yeah. It's not super obvious, but yeah, it is. It is one of the, I don't know, coolest open source bank and financial organization I used to work for. So like not open source focused startup, but a large financial organizations. And I think they still largest Rancher customers in the world. So like, hundreds of Kubernetes clusters and all that stuff. So Michal, please keep me honest there.
Yeah.
Much infra.
Yeah, and also if I can compare with like German financial institutions I've been working before, yeah, APSA is like much more technically advanced, and there are like much more opportunities to doing like cutting edge stuff, etc.
Yeah, so k8gb was born there, right? So it was
Yeah.
used there like a technology, and then we contributed to CNCF, and we got like whole leadership support in that process. So it was amazing. All right, folks, let's start with our meeting. So please set yourself to attendees list. Thanks, Andrea, for already doing so. So from a kind of new standpoint, we got a surprising and nice coverage from China's tech reviewer. So it's a very nice post. He really deeply understands the benefits of k8gb solution. So it was really nice to read, and it was originally written in Chinese. So and the exposure to Chinese audience was visible by GitHub star bump. I mean, I just noticed, it's growing almost plus 100, and it was cool. And I started to Google. Something happened, and I'm not aware what. And it appeared to be that article. So super nice. Now we at almost 800 stars. So and every star is real for us. So I really value that thing. So yeah, cool coverage. And I also applied Lightning Talk for KubeCon China. Let's see if you get accepted because we are sandbox. So we might be present there as well. So they do not provide a Contrafest on KubeCon China, but Lightning Talk is available. So let's see. So if anybody wants to join me, if it's accepted to Hong Kong somewhere in August, let me know. They allowing a dual talk for Lightning Talk as well. So we can co-present there. So yeah, that's for visibility star stuff. For issues, there is nothing pressing, but I just noticed, unfortunately, only yesterday, but it's 2 weeks old. The question about bind usage. Obviously, we're using bind because it's our first local reference setup, and nothing special there. But I realize that we are not actually, it's not on the surface in documentation. So something to fix, and I'll handle it later on. But just to look at the docs that we have. We got the tutorials. We have all the current integrations, and there is no mentioning of RFC for DDNS, right, and a bind possible bind integration. So that's something to just bring on top. I'll take care of it. Yeah, PRs for Azure DNS support. I did a review. It's pretty much looks good. My main concern is that in the current Helm chart, proposed Helm chart design value, there is a plain text secret. So I provided feedback to Nuno. He promised to take another look from a security standpoint, because obviously it's not a very best practice to propagate secret as a plain text in Helm values. Otherwise, it looks great. Contrafest, yeah, Michal, happy to have you around. We have this stuff it's very minor, right? But it's not nice to fix. And we use this issue for KubeCon Europe Contrafest, and we kind of because it's relatively straightforward for this part. But I'm pretty much aware that and we use it as a sample. So the question to you, if it's actually valid or we need to enhance it, because we changed the string propagation to kind of plug in names interpolation, but I expect that we might break something, because here we are not propagating the values to the models, this kind of stuff. So if you will have time to double check, please take another look, especially from looking at the configurations that you run in production.
It's breaking change.
It's breaking change as well. Yeah. So you have to somehow cover it. Yeah. So that's why I didn't merge it, and I wanted your feedback there.
Yeah. Probably I will also talk with Dina about this. Because it sounds good, but it's breaking change, and it can cause a lot of panic. And
so we can make either transition. We can also deprecate it if it's too intrusive. But please take a look, provide feedback.
Or maybe if he provides both methods, the previous one, this one as well, is possible. I don't know.
I'm not sure. We
No.
need to think about it.
No.
Yeah. We'll
Okay.
see, because
Mm.
like it's a direct templating sync of the core file for
Yeah.
Proteus. But yeah,
I
let's
see.
see later. Let's just like, I wanted to activate this discussion, and yeah, let's see how it
Mhm.
goes.
Mhm.
So
This brings me a
yeah.
question, if
Mm.
I may. How often do you release? How do you manage your release cycles?
It's actually very ad hoc, right? So whenever we feel that we have a good enough feature to release, we can release anytime. It's like a maintainer's decision. We are not practicing any kind of release windows, from because we don't have like avalanche of changes coming. And yeah, it's basically maintainer's decision and like community request. If somebody needs something, like let's release. And practically how it happens, like for example, recently added Cloudflare support, right? And obviously to make it consumable, we need to make release. So this kind of stuff. And or if you have an important security fix incoming, we also make a release. But there is no like expected strict schedule, at least not yet.
Okay.
If you have some ideas around it, if you think it makes sense, we are like also open to it. And we have a pretty much release pipeline that I'm kind of very advanced. We have everything like automatically packaged with pipeline and what is that, supply chain things. So that's something actually might be worth looking at if you're interested, Andrea. Like how does it work? Because we have a quite rich release pipeline, and as you can see, it's like we have all this like a cosign. That's why we were finalist of Security Slam. So we complied with a lot of suggested security posture enhancements that are coming from CF. So it's pretty good pipe. And yeah, and whenever you see the need for release, please
Okay.
please raise it in Slack, and we can
Mhm.
work on it. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, now I try to gather a bit how you
Mhm.
do things, and with time, if I feel something can be improved, I'll definitely suggest it or try to make things better. Yeah, but
Sounds good.
so far sounds good. Yeah, you can go
Cool.
ahead.
Thank you. And yeah, let's go through your amazing contributions, Andrea. So this is interesting bug that you managed to capture. So I've definitely seen this related behavior before. So Michal also might be interesting to you because it's like a core reconciler, right? And yeah, uh, this end-to-end test is very serious. So thank you so much for doing it. I'm pretty sure things is like scale to zero thing like from coming from Red Hat in a situation when they were scaling down all the KGB instances, right? And then it brought some associated behavior.
This one I saw just from reading the code. I was trying to get familiar, or when doing working on the bigger refactoring, and then I noticed this. So yeah, in the end, in a nutshell, it's if two two JS LB instances reference the same endpoint, only one of them is updated or was updated before this PR. It's rather an edge case. Most, like 99% of the cases, there will be different JSLBs. Different JSLBs will point to different services, but it's still possible.
Yeah, totally. Great catch.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, so next one is VSX training. So that's very enterprise case proxy. I'm not sure how we managed to survive without it in APSA. Michal, do you know? Because we definitely had a proxy there. So I know why. Because we had internal DNS, so we didn't use the proxy for Infoblocks. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely super useful addition together with the communication. So great stuff.
Yes. So this potentially can be added to other, or I only worked with the external DNS integration. That's what we use right now with other with integrations with other. Yeah, so I don't know how the Route 53 direct integration works or such. If there are other containers that would talk with anything outside of the cluster, then the same solution could be used and extended.
Yeah, so the current situation is that everything is external DNS based except of historical info blocks. So info blocks is this part of code that is directly talking to the info blocks API. So it was like how it was originally created, because the external DNS info blocks provider wasn't capable enough. And so we started with info blocks integration because it was a main DNS environment for AppSA, right? And then we extended this AWS and other stuff with the help of external DNS plugin. So basically, external DNS is the main vehicle for us, main engine to talk with external DNS environment to configure this zone delegation, right? So NS and glue A records. So yeah, that's you basically solve like 95% of things. Info blocks, I think, like it's a snowflake for us. Historical snowflake. Yeah. Cool stuff. And now I think like it's the most interesting one. So Michal, for the context, basically after multiple discussion with different community members and gathering like feedbacks, we taking kind of different direction compared to k8gb Lite. So please correct me if I'm wrong, like if I'm not, my judgment is not super correct, but k8gb Lite was created to like fully deprecate the custom CRD and focus on ingress only, right? So out of a community need and also the communication discussion, we, at least currently, we decide to take a different route and make a relaxed GSLB and enable it to reference arbitrary resource, right? As you can see in this example, we have a kind of cross-plane style resource ref, and we can reference ingress. Later on, you'll be able to reference service or Istio gateway, whatever works somehow, like, is compatible for a load balancing scenario. So that's roughly the idea. And yeah, I didn't review the PR yet. So like, Andre, if you want to go through it, maybe like provide some short introduction, and that would be cool. If you want to share your screen.
Okay, let me open it then. So small screen, big screen, maybe small screen. Let's go for small screen. Actually, it's open here. Yeah. Okay. So I need to give Zoom some additional permissions.
Unfortunately, you'll have to make a restart. In this case, you may restart of the application.
Yeah, okay. So I'll be away for 1 minute and come back shortly.
Cool. Waiting for you. What about some meetup in Prague, Michal? It's been a while.
Yeah, we can do something.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a lot of stuff now at the moment, even in personal life. So
everything's good.
Don't know. Well, something's not.
I see. But yeah, whenever you have time, and yeah, we can try to meet. We'll be happy to see you in person again.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm back. I think you see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So, yeah, here, look, sorry, this one is wrong. Yeah, as you reintroduced, so we talked 4 weeks ago in the previous office hours, how we could implement this feature, and then Yuri suggested this resource reference. So if at some point we decide to also support it for k8gb Lite, we could use annotations to do the same. So most of the logic would stay there. And this change is fully backwards compatible. So it's still, so if we want to specify a k8gb with an embedded ingress or having an ingress with annotations, everything should still work the same.
Oh,
In
nice.
addition, we have these, so no resource change. In the future, probably it would make sense, or how I see it right now, to have only the resource ref and not have the embedded anymore, but we can decide later how to
So like
handle that.
deprecated with time, we'll have two in parallel for a time being, right? For the
Yes.
transition period.
Yeah. So we can have two in parallel. So, and this here we have a resource ref, then ingress the type, so the Kubernetes ingress, and as you mentioned, there could be other types, and then labels to look up for resources that are in the same namespace as the GSLB. So how I did this is, first of all, so why do we use a Kubernetes ingress or something else? In the end, we want to read some data from it. So we want to know which services are backing the application, which service we want to contact so that we can check their health. And we want to know the domain this application is exposed. So that's it. We don't need anything else, or right now with the current set of features. And there were a few places in the code where it was, the fields were read directly from the ingress or parts of in the business logic. So I tried to abstract that. So, and in a way that we first read whatever configuration, whatever type of ingress it is, read this data, read the service, read the domain, store it somewhere, and then the rest of the logic is completely agnostic to what type of ingress we have. Yeah, so and then to do that, so it is, or the bigger discussions or things that I asked myself is where to store that. And I stored it in the status of the GSLB resource. We can discuss if it makes sense to have it in the status, even potentially. I saw some CRDs that have fields also in the spec, but we don't really want the users to modify these or write these directly. Another way would be an internal data structure. So here, how we see that the types change is, so yeah, we have the resource ref in the spec. Here we add an omit empty for ingress because they are then optional, and there will be checks to make sure that only one of them is defined. And then, and this bit is the status. So the status would have then a load balance, or then we can decide that the data structure open for feedback. So there will be now a load balancer type that has the exposed IPs. And here I had a look at, there was some other open PR you mentioned some weeks ago, related with some services and load balancers. I think this structure would be the same they are using. And then we have servers. And what is a server? It is a host and a list of services, because right now an ingress can have multiple applications in there, an ingress resource. We can have define multiple domains and multiple services in the same JSLB configuration. So these things are stored in the status. How do we get there? So this is not important. And yeah, so let's go to this. So, okay. So this is the reconcile loop, and so you already have a dep resolver that basically looks at the configuration, sees if everything is okay, sets some default values. And here intuitively, I call this one the ref resolver because it resolves the references to other resources. We can also discuss naming. So basically, pretty much at the beginning of the reconcile loop, so this bit already existed. It is for backwards compatibility, but the important part is we create a new ref resolver that will read the GSLB. And there in the logic, it will check, okay, is it an embedded ingress? Is it a referenced ingress? And it will also check in the future, is it an Istio ingress? And it will return then a ref resolver of the appropriate type. So then this is an interface. And then from there are two functions. So we can have a look at this interface definition. Yeah, so this ref resolver or GSLB reference resolver has two methods: get servers that returns the list of Kubernetes services, or the server's name is because this is a global server load balancer. So the servers, the applications behind it, and the exposed IPs. And these are read in different ways depending on how ingress is configured. And yes, so from there, those fields are then stored in the status of the GSLB. So here we store the IPs, and somewhere close by, yeah, and it's here, the status, we store the servers, and the rest of the code looks exactly the same. So this all the other functions, so I didn't touch about DNS endpoints, how we check health, nothing, or just the fields are, so the information now is read from this status instead of being read directly from the embedded ingress. Yeah, so that's about it, or in the nutshell, what the change does. Then there are a few smaller things for, or then all tests are passing. And for that, there are a few mocks that are not necessary anymore, but those are then smaller details. I also installed this in my cluster, and so some basic, and I did some basic tests, which was just having both an embedded ingress or a referenced ingress, scaling all the replicas of the application to 0, seeing that and doing DNS queries, seeing that the results are empty, and then scaling up, and the results are visible, available again. Yeah, so then I also add here, so the points for discussion would be mostly where to store this information. Does this make sense to store the status or somewhere else? And whether the package name and having it as a separate package makes sense. So then one thing I try to care about is how we'll introduce new implementations, and then it should be very easy. So this should be quite extensible. So now we have an ingress.go that returns ingress reference resolver and implements those functions. So then we will just add a new file here, virtual service.go, that does whatever a virtual service needs to do to get the data that we want. Yeah, so then take your time to review it. It is or quite big, or I mean, there are it's not about 1,000 additions, but many of them are then also unit tests for this particular logic of reading data from a referenced ingress, and a few files for testing with examples. One thing I didn't touch yet was documentation. Then you can tell me if it makes sense to update the docs already with these examples already, or do we want to potentially merge these tests for a little bit and understand, okay, this is stable, therefore we can advertise it to more users. Then yeah, however you prefer it.
Yeah, so this is super dope stuff. Thank you so much. One thing that comes to mind is from testing. So like you extended and covered everything with unit tests. That is great. What I like immediately have in mind is extension of our Terra test based end-to-end suite, right, with the new spec. So maybe like, you know, running them in parallel. If you didn't make it yet, I'm not sure.
No, I didn't look at Terra test. No.
Okay. So yeah, so like we can, I think it's relatively easily, like we just extend examples with the new stuff, and it will make for a time being the end-to-end test pipeline, I think like kind of double the size, because they will test like on a parallel two things like old and new ref, right, to cover them both end-to-end. But I think it worth it, like, you know, from a coverage perspective, and this way with every PR, you basically can test the whole flow. And extend this end-to-end regression test suite. And for the documentation, in the case of documentation, we have an interesting like situation. So whenever we merge the docs, it's going to be published to the k8gb.io website, right?
Okay.
By default. And then we have a window. So assuming you add the new resource ref, it's going to be exposed as a part of the documentation, but it will not be yet released. So I mean, I don't think it's super critical for the project, like to have this kind of, you know, temporary window where it exposes new feature, but they're not available before release, but just something to keep in mind, right? So like it shouldn't be super long. So whenever we merge it, we probably can plan like a release in next couple of weeks or something. So, but by default, the documentation, I wouldn't put documentation in PR, so it will not be lagging, right?
Yes, yeah, that definitely makes sense. Yes.
Cool. Thank you. Michal, you had a
I wrote a couple of points. First of all, good job. I like that. I like the design. Documentation, yeah, I'm completely fine with separate tasks, definitely. Now, what I have wrote to mention, yes, test, make a Terra test, please. And also Terra test which proves the backward compatibility, you know, because if we release new version, maybe some teams, they don't want to change their configuration, and we need to ensure that all setup will work for 100%. Regarding implementation, from high perspective, I've got nothing. It's all good. Yeah, and yeah, test data must be extended, and yeah, also I'd like to ensure that it will test the ingress set through the annotations, because we have like one scenario where, and this is like most common, when the customers are set the ingresses through the annotations, not through the GSOB definition. Basically, currently nobody's doing it. Everyone is setting that through the annotation. So, but that's nothing against this design. I'm completely fine with that. Because we wanted to clean it, and that's why KGB Lite. That's why we created a KGB Lite, because we wanted to keep it only on the annotations. But please do this test as well.
Yeah. So testing wise, so now that I didn't touch TerraTest, so if TerraTest still passes, it means the old configuration still works, right? What may not work is the resource ref. That may not work, but the rest is still working, so it will not break anyone's.
And in the tests, always also concentrate or keep in mind some corner cases. I know in the Terra test it's not so easy, but there are corner cases, and they are important to handle with them. And just a question: when you create this ref resolver, naming is fine. When you was asking, just you had this ref resolver interface, you use the server. Does it make a sense to change it to host? What was your opinion about it?
So a server contains a host and services. So here, so a server as a host and a list of
the
services.
service structure. Okay, I suppose this is the string. Good. I'm fine with this. Okay. I'm completely fine. I suppose it's just the string value.
Okay.
Perfect. So in the Hive overview, I'm with. I like it.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the quick feedback.
Yeah.
I'll definitely have a look at TerraTest and test these in more complex scenarios. And definitely. Or then having these implementations, if, as you mentioned, the annotations that most of the users use annotations, and let's say in the future we support Istio virtual services, then I can definitely focus on supporting annotations also for that, not only this resource ref. If we want to still have both avenues open.
Yeah, definitely. That's how it should work. But awesome, Andre, I'm very happy that there is someone who found the time to make such large change. And
it's amazing. It opens like a lot of new stuff to the project, so really appreciate it.
We are quite interested to improve here the feature set, or there aren't so many alternatives in the market, and it looks like the future looks promising here, and we believe that this can be a great project, or it already is.
Thank you. Yeah, amazing. And maybe you can you remind your higher level context, especially for Michal, like what is your k8gb use case?
Yeah, definitely. So we have 3 Kubernetes clusters right now where we have applications running, and we want these clusters to be identical and to provide then high availability for these applications. So in case of regional failure, provider failure. So for publicly available domains, actually we are using Azure Traffic Manager as a solution. But that Azure Traffic Manager only works with public domains, doesn't work in an internal network, which is also a very important use case for us. So a user is connected to the LAN VPN, so it's in the internal network, and now wants to access whatever internal application, and they should be routed to a cluster where the application is working properly, it's healthy. And with Azure Traffic Manager, we cannot do that. And then we look also at k8gb as a potential alternative to get rid of Azure Traffic Manager, and we have something provider agnostic.
Very nice.
So yeah, so this is our use case. Then we don't use Kubernetes Ingress, we use Istio right now. We are also paying attention to the developments of the Gateway API. The features, there is still not feature parity, but it seems that the future will be there. So at some point we'll probably migrate once all the features that we need are there. So for now then the biggest or why I started doing this refactoring, or the end goal is to then provide an Istio integration. And yeah, as we use the project more and more, we will then, if there are any other points that we see that we can improve and we can help, we are happy then to discuss with you and yeah, improve the project in a joint way in the direction that benefits all of us.
Cool. And
Yeah,
also I
that's great.
like the idea to have something where you can bypass the Azure Traffic Manager, which is also great.
Yeah, definitely. This having something that running in the cluster or independent completely of how the users connect to the service is quite important, or we see this solution as being more future proof.
Okay, thanks, Andre.
Yeah, cool stuff, guys. Well, couple of things like feedback to the PR part of the status. I actually like it that it's not internal data structures, that it exposes what is happening to the user. It's actually like a much more nicer user experience when you see that the APs are getting populated, right? And you as a cluster or k8gb admin is figuring out like getting feedbacks that GSLB is actually working. So that's a great stuff. I don't think you need hide it somehow. From a point that is most of the users are using annotations, it's yes, but for APSA, right? I heard from, for example, a presentation on KubeCon North America that people are preferring GSLB because it's a core CRD resource first because it's more declarative, right? So I'm hearing a mixed signals. So we need to support both. It just, to balance the stuff like annotation is prevalent in this specific organization, but it doesn't mean that another organization will default to it, just in case.
Definitely. Yeah, in our case, I did some investigations before because we need to migrate the ingresses. There was change during the Kubernetes versions, and basically I found we use only one, like a GSLB instead of annotation. So it is like a company by company. Once we open like two ways how to do it, we need to handle both scenarios.
Yeah, that's right.
And also I love that ingress reference, just for the reason that maybe new Kubernetes version will come, or if we start to support like Istio or whatever, there may be some breaking changes which happened with the ingress resource. And once we just refer it through the labels, it is much smarter because you don't need to do the migrations. And trust me, doing the migrations of ingresses, that's something you don't want. You don't want to do it. So this is like a smart way, I guess.
Yep. Then one small note for the future, as I looked already at integrating virtual services, I noticed then some version bumps will be needed. So it wants to, or by adding the clients go for Istio, then it wants to update other clients and then the controller runtime. and there are some breaking changes there. So that will potentially be my next PR, just some dependency bumps to then enable importing some other libraries.
So is it for core stuff like controller runtime and
yes. Yeah, so the controller runtime is about 1 year, the version is about 1 year old, and they are still in version 0, which means they can do breaking changes whenever they want. And there are a few breaking changes, but nothing that we can't solve. Or again, so I see you have Dependabot. But still for bigger, or which versions exactly does it track? Is it only for security purposes, or would it potentially bump everything?
Oh, you need to check renovate configuration for that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see the renovate JSON share in Slack. So it's not Dependabot, by the way, it's renovate.
Okay. Yeah,
Just in case, yeah. So this stuff, and yeah, we can go through the configuration later on. I think it's just like, tracking the new dependencies. Some of them are actually there if you look at the dependency dashboard, but not of them are passing, right? The test because of the breaking changes, if I recall correctly. So
okay.
So this stuff also sharing in Slack and Thread. So it actually might be a nice overview for the dependencies, because it most probably includes it. So you can
Okay.
there, yeah. And feel free to propose like renovate configuration enhancement if you see some gaps.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
All right, so we are very on top of an hour, so it's much longer, but very nice meeting. We had a lot of stuff to discuss, so appreciate it. And yeah, let's wrap up for today. Thank you so much, and see you in 2 weeks. And let's connect anytime asynchronously in Slack. Thank you. And Andre, if you need any clarification on Cherry test and think, feel free to ping. I can provide some context if needed. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Also, again, about the PR, if you have further questions,
yeah, definitely.
Or if you want to discuss anything in person, then we can do it.
Yeah. I will try to review and like an end-to-end test it on my side carefully in a upcoming week, and provide a official PR review, let's say, and we can merge it in as soon as possible. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks a lot for taking the time and for the meeting.
Yeah. Cool.
You guys, and thank you so much. Bye bye.
See you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.